Miss. You're listening to Southern Miss Today on Southern Miss Radio. I'm your Tuesday, Thursday show host, Skylar Angus Parker. We've got a great show coming up with some information about Marshall Bolden explaining why he became a portrait painter, and Kaylin Fox Thomas reporting on the DEI ban. And don't touch that dial because Julia Folse will share some things that you don't want to miss. You're listening to Southern Miss Today on Southern Miss Radio.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mississippi Beverages. Mississippi Beverages provides water, water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mississippi Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mississippi Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Southern Miss Today on Southern Miss Radio. In USM campus news, this is the last Southern Miss Today show for the semester. You've heard that right. We thank you immensely for your time, for having us as your listening pleasure. It has been a crazy semester, and we couldn't be more honored for you to be a part of our listeners. We want to thank our sponsors, as well as the crew of Student Media Center, and every guest we've had on the show. Thanks for listening, and we can't wait to come back next semester. In Hattiesburg news, $1 million sidewalk project in the works to improve Classic Drive in Forest County. You've heard that right. Classic Drive in Forest County is getting an upgrade. Construction is in its first phase of a sidewalk project that will stretch from Pine Tree Drive all the way to Golf Course Road. They have been working on the design for several years, and now it's in production. The sidewalk will be used to have a safe space for runners, cyclists, and pedestrians. Board of Supervisors President Terry Bell has this to say about the development. It's really important that we do have a healthy lifestyle, and so we're really trying to focus on that particular aspect of the quality of life in Forest County. We're really excited about this sidewalk because it's going to be a connector for the Longleaf Trace. And it actually brings in more active transportation that can be pedestrian, biking, golf cart. It is being projected that the first phase of the project should be completed within 2 to 3 months. In Mississippi news, City of Petal's 3% restaurant bar tax given 4-year extension. Looks like summer fun will continue at Petal's Russell Sportsplex after state leaders renewed the city's 3% tax on restaurants, bars, and lodging. Petal Mayor Tony Ducker has this to say about the tax. The amount of money and the customers coming in is a growing number. We bring in around $100,000 a month, and that allows us to keep our commitment to our recreation department. Petal Mayor Tony Ducker states that the money was used for drainage work at the softball fields, turfing at the baseball fields, and the splash pad. The mayor continues to explain the tax by stating, "The paving part of it will take place later this fall, if everything falls like we need it to. But this phase shouldn't take that long. We want folks to be able to see their tax dollars at work. Everything from the 3% tax to property tax to sales tax." In national news, Taylor guitars made from condemned urban trees in imperfect ebony are saving money, carbon, and the Amazon. Guitar manufacturers like Taylor and Griffin are utilizing native California trees marked for removal in the state's urban areas to birth a new generation of acoustic instruments. The motive? Helping musicians and consumers dodge the increasing prices for prized woods needed to make guitars, as well as helping memorialize condemned native trees in the state. Tim Patterson, a manager at WCA, the West Coast Arborist, has this to say. We developed a system where our IT department could use any time. A list comes out with trees that are going to be removed, and they see a Shamal ash is identified. It automatically sends a notification to me at area manager and to our street revival people that, hey, there's a possible tree we can send to Taylor. With the implementation of these alerts, guitars can be made from dying trees or condemned trees to help preserve the trees in the Amazon, as well as helping customers save money on guitars. We'll be right back with sports and weather after a word from our sponsors.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mr. Sippy Beverages. Mr. Sippy Beverages provides water, water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mr. Sippy Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mr. Sippy Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online. Sponsorship comes from American Graphics. Located at 8 Commercial Warehouse Drive in Hattiesburg, American Graphics provides custom screen printing and embroidery. They can be reached by phone at 601-602-2277, and the website is goamericangraphics.com. American Graphics, printing at its finest.
Southern Miss Today on Southern Miss Radio. Now on for your sports news. Softball concludes regular season with final road series at Louisiana. Southern Miss softball finished its regular season with a 3-game road series against Louisiana, beginning Thursday at Lamson Park in Lafayette. The Golden Eagles are coming off of a series win over App State, taking the first 2 games to climb into the conference standings. Our Golden Eagles closed its home schedule with 16 wins at the Southern Miss Softball Complex, the program's most since 2019. Congratulations, Eagles. Jake Cook's homer helps number 22 Southern Miss Power pass New Orleans 9-4 Tuesday night. Jake Cook broke up a tie score with a 3-run, 7th-inning home run to lead Southern Miss over New Orleans 9-4. Tuesday night at Pete Taylor Park, Hill Denson Field. The Golden Eagles won for the 6th consecutive game, which ended their non-conference schedule with a 17-7 mark. Also, don't forget that you can order your football season tickets to guarantee your seat from Mississippi State and Jackson State by purchasing your season tickets today. Season tickets start as low as $99, and we offer a fan-friendly payment plan up to 4 months, so make sure you get your tickets. To keep up with all the Golden Eagles sports activities, head on over to southernmiss.com. Now on for your weather. Looks like we've got a 50% chance of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon and evening, so if you're out late, bring an umbrella just in case. Our highs today will be in the mid-80s, and our lows are in the mid to upper 60s. Friday has a 60% chance of showers and thunderstorms, with our highs in the lower to mid-80s. Saturday also has a chance of rain, with a 70% chance of showers and thunderstorms, with highs in the upper 70s to lower 80s. Sunday will be on the sunnier side with no current rain percentage, with our highs in the upper 70s and the lows in the mid-50s. Up next, we have Marshall Bolden explaining why he became a portrait painter. Check it out.
This is Mississippi Moments, produced by the Center for Oral History and Cultural Heritage at the University of Southern Mississippi and supported by the Mississippi Humanities Council. I'm Bill Ellison. In 1948, Marshall Bolden became the apprentice of a commercial illustrator in Connecticut. He explains why he decided to come home to Clarksdale and become a portrait painter.
I apprenticed for a particular artist who moved to Connecticut. I stayed there and I finally got off of my own studio there and working through representative in New York. And I did magazine illustration, but I realized that I wasn't cut out to be an illustrator. And I became more interested in painting. And I guess the thing that really influenced me was a show of Van Gogh that came there one time. And I looked at his freedom and the way he painted, and it was entirely opposite of what I was doing. And I said, man, I just ought to cut loose and do some of it. I began thinking, I was like, dadgummit, if I could go home and maybe I can be a farmer and give me time to paint on the weekends. So I bolted and said, I'm going home to be a farmer. And everybody laughed at me up there and said, well, you'll be back in a month. Said, you're an artist and you can't stand it. Said, you got to paint. And I guess they were right in a way. But I came home and I farmed and painted on the weekends. Spent a lot of time painting and did what I said I was going to do.
Bill Ellison hosts Voices of Our People World War II, a new podcast from Mississippi Moments, sponsored by the Mississippi Humanities Council. That's Voices of Our People World War II, wherever you get your podcasts.
That was Marshall Bolden. Coming up, we've got a special guest that you don't want to miss.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mississippi Beverages. Mississippi Beverages provides water, water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mississippi Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mississippi Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online.
What is dedication?
My daughter is biological and my son is adopted. I love them both so much. From the morning when you wake up to putting them to bed at night and every moment in between. I think a parent's job is to protect our children but also prepare them for the world so they become good, kind human beings.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Southern Miss Today on Southern Miss Radio. Now, please give a warm Golden Eagle welcome to Julia Folse. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. So, first and foremost, before we begin talking about the exciting stuff that we got, for anyone who doesn't know you, can you tell us about yourself?
Yes. So, my name is Julia Folse. I use she, they pronouns. Originally, I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, and have been down here for around the past 7 years for school and now work. And I am a creative, an activist, book lover, and a therapist at Counseling Associates of Hattiesburg.
Awesome. That's amazing. And you mentioned earlier that I think you were a Southern Miss alumni, right?
Yes, I completed the Bachelor of Social Work and Master of Social Work programs right here at Southern Miss.
Wow. And how would you rate your experience here at Southern Miss?
I had a great time. It's just far enough away from New Orleans to be close but comfortable. And I was just really drawn to the peacefulness of the campus. The oak trees were a big hit always. And the programs that I participated in were just amazing, filled with great people and mentors that I will forever be thankful for.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming to Southern Miss campus. That's so exciting and that's so amazing.
Thanks for having me.
I understand that you are a licensed master social worker. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So this means I have my Master of Social Work as well as have passed a national licensure exam for the master's level.
Right.
What I'm in the process of now is I'm working as an LMSW, licensed master social worker, in a clinical setting, and I'm in supervision for my LCSW, which is licensed clinical social worker. So it's a clinical license that would let you be an independent practitioner. This would mean if I would want to start a private practice or want to hold a higher leadership position, I could. So right now I'm in the supervision process, which is 2 years post-grad of face-to-face meetings, processing with a mentor, and completing 1,000 client contact hours, which means face-to-face appointments. And then I will have to take another exam, which will be great. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now in my process.
Wow. And do you know what this exam is going to look like at all?
Yeah, it's going to be very similar to the one that I took, but just new level of questions and new level of information. So it's going to be over 150 questions, I'm sure. And I do need to start studying.
Are you nervous about this test at all, or?
Not yet. It is a little bit down the line for me.
Right.
And I do just want to get in the groove of refamiliarizing with school and that type of pace of studying, because it's different when you don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
And so I'm excited to be able to show the extent of my knowledge with being tested and having that X license.
Right, absolutely. Well, we're going to wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
I understand that you're part of the Counseling Associates of New London. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, so that is the home office of how Counseling Associates was started up in New Hampshire and Vermont. And Counseling Associates of Hattiesburg, where I'm at, which is located downtown, is under that umbrella.
Right.
So we're an office within those offices. And that original Counseling Associates of New London was created from a need being seen in the community.
Okay.
So Counseling Associates of Hattiesburg bloomed quite the same, where a
Right.
need was identified for services in Mississippi. The stars lined up, and here we are.
Wow. That's so amazing. That's so like it's so like whenever it comes to being a person that suffers from a mental illness, there's a lot of things in Mississippi that like it doesn't just quite reach you. And it doesn't like it's harder to get like an appointment with a therapist, and there's all these issues about money, and there's all these issues about like how society deems social disorders to be. And it's so amazing that you're on like this fighting line to be able to help our residents at Mississippi and be able to like give them a fair shot. I understand that you have an expertise in EMDR, LGBTQIA plus, and trauma and PTSD. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I can. So I'll start with my sort of specialty population that I love to work with is LGBTQIA plus.
Right.
A member of the community myself, and experienced that sort of gap in what I felt was lack of person-centered services or lack of trauma-informed services for the population specifically.
Right.
Or like services that were accessible being financially difficult to reach the need of because of prices. And so that population is so beautiful and has so many strengths. And I went and got trained in EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy. Specifically kind of for the root of wanting to work with that population. And it applies to multiple populations, which is amazing. But that is a specific trauma modality that is one of the only 2 FDA-approved treatments for PTSD.
Okay.
So trauma and PTSD being within here as well as like my absolute favorite type of experience to work with, because it is one centered around reclaiming safety and rediscovering what feels okay for you.
Yeah.
So there's both the connection with the past self to update past self where we are now, and getting to offer updated information and support and options outside of just trauma or things that happen to us as the end all be all.
Right. That's so powerful, and that's so amazing that your focus is so, it's so, especially being so centered on LGBTQIA plus individuals, because like there's a lot of like pushback that's happening now in society right now, and it's a scary thing. It's a scary time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's absolutely amazing that you're providing that help. And I understand that you help children, tweens, teens, and adults. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So I do work with people that are not in the LGBTQ plus community as well, and a diverse range of ages.
Right.
It is so much fun to work with children. I didn't really expect myself to be going that route, and it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
But it is something I learned so much from and with and in, and kids are resilient and amazing. And then a lot of adult work or young adult work is working with these past versions of ourselves too.
Yeah.
And so when working with adults, there's always an aspect of working with a child too.
Yeah.
And then when working with children, there's always an aspect of working with adults because you're working with a caregiver or guardian.
True.
So I love working with children. A lot of my children clients have either autism or ADHD, and we work on what functioning in certain social environments or emotional regulation looks like in spaces to help support them in feeling heard and seen, as well as functioning in spaces that are not designed for neurodivergence.
Right.
And then with adults, really that trauma and PTSD lens, as well as anxiety, adjustments. Life happens, and we take it as that as that comes, you
Right.
know? And then when people want to do work, maybe going back to something that has caused a lot of harm, it's really beautiful to get to provide space to just listen.
Yeah. It's so powerful and it's so important because there's a lot of people that suffer in silence, especially when it comes to PTSD and trauma. And it's hard to be able to put yourself in a position of like putting yourself out there and allowing yourself to be heard and allowed yourself to be listened to and allowing to talk about some deep traumatic things that happened. Because I know for me personally, I've been diagnosed with PTSD and it's been a crazy roller coaster about like the ups and downs whenever you get reminded of things, when you have those certain triggers that build up. It's a crazy world, but it's absolutely amazing that you're on that fight. And I know that you mentioned some of them already, but without breaking any type of patient confidentiality, what type of disorders do you focus on in your appointments?
Yeah, so I focus on a lot of anxiety disorders, like I mentioned before, like some ADHD and autism diagnoses as well. Mostly, I would say PTSD or adjustment related disorders,
Yeah.
working with processing either past events or triggers that are showing up actively that are innately connected to something that we've experienced before.
Right.
So that is the realm I work the most in. I have people scattered all over. Those are the ones that I would say I have the most right now on my caseload.
Right. Okay. That's really cool. And also, as I've said numerous times during this interview, it's very, very powerful and very impactful. So thank you for your work.
Thank you.
What does a typical appointment look like for you?
Okay, I love this question because it can be different every single time.
Yeah.
So, of course, I love to just first take a second to breathe.
Yeah.
When someone's walking into the office, they might be coming from work, school, who knows where, might be having a great day, might not be having a great day.
Yeah.
So, first, just like being in space together, being like, all right, for the next 53 minutes, we are in this room together, and this time is yours. So the check-in always seeing where we're at, what our needs are. I always check in with what's called like a zone identification.
Right.
So there is this concept and theory called polyvagal theory.
Yeah.
And this is something that can tell us kind of where our nervous system is sitting. Nervous system being the thing that controls our responses in our body and emotion wise, kind of what we have access to with our brain, thoughts, and feelings.
Yeah.
And so we have in polyvagal theory what's called the green zone, that's our safety. A yellow zone, that's our activation space, but we're still functioning. We're still in that I can space. That's like a fight or flight response because we're moving. And then in the red zone, we have like a shutdown.
Right.
This is a freeze response where we're conserving energy. You're seeing a lot of depression and hopelessness.
Yeah.
And we are in a state at all times. I could ask myself right now, what zone am I in? What zone am I in? And I would say green.
Right.
Because I'm feeling safe here. I'm feeling comfortable.
Yeah.
My unconscious brain is telling me this. This is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So we have our brain and body that are constantly scanning for danger or safety.
Right.
They answer that question without us knowing and then send a message that impacts everything.
Right.
Our organs, our emotions, it becomes the filter through which we see the world.
Right.
So I know if someone comes into my office and we're in a red, first thing we need to do is regulate and get back down to a yellow. And so if someone comes in green, we have a lot of capacity to work with.
Right.
So it's that check-in, and then from there is like, what path are we taking today?
Right.
And it's always, always, always for me informed by what the client identifies their need as.
Right.
So best plan for me is no plan, but having rough ideas
Of course.
of what's coming up.
I love that. I love that. And where can people book an appointment with you?
Yeah, so booking appointments can most easily be done through the website, which is www.ca-mh.com.
Okay.
They would request me, Julia, specifically, if desiring to see me specifically, or any other clinician. There's a lot of phenomenal ones there. Or they could also call our office number. We have a local number This can all be Googled at Counseling Associates of Hattiesburg and
Right.
access, but that number is 601-699-4080.
Okay. That's cool. That's amazing. And just for like this final question, how much does an appointment normally cost?
Yeah, so an appointment cost varies dependent on insurance and
Yeah.
dependent on whether the clinician can accept the insurance or not.
Okay.
So because I'm an LMSW, I can accept most insurance, but there are a few that I can't because of licensure level.
Right.
So for cases like that, let's say you were to come in and you have Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Yeah.
And you want an appointment with me, and so you request me, but I can't take Blue Cross Blue Shield. The offer
I
that's
see.
given is a sliding scale specialty rate of between $70 and $50 per appointment,
Okay.
which is sometimes lower than those copays for some
Yeah.
insurances.
Absolutely.
So it's to bridge the gap there, as well as making sure we have a little bit of accessibility given within practice as well.
Right.
So for that option, that and the insurances that we can take being something that provides you with specialized trauma services too, access to that. Because when looking other places, before I was researching in undergrad out of curiosity, there's a big financial commitment that often comes with those specialty services.
Yeah.
So this is a very low accessible rate for some things that would not have access there if not.
Right. That's amazing. And such a low cost is being able to really allow that door to be open for so many individuals. And I would love to talk to you all day, but I know that we're running out of time. Is there anything else you want to share with our listeners?
Yeah. So breaking the idea that therapy is something that is a fix or that the therapist can do to fix you. Like in reality, you, me, all of us, we're all the experts of our own lives.
Yeah.
Therapy is a cool journey because you get to have support.
Yeah.
And you get to have someone witness. And as a therapist, like my role is guide. My
Yeah.
clients come in and they progress because they're the ones showing up and
Yeah.
they're the ones doing the work. And I can equip with tools, but I mean, it's them.
Yeah.
And so it can be for depression. It can be for a diagnosis. It can also be when we're really struggling
Yeah.
and we just need maybe a little extra support
Yeah.
or need a space to talk and share about something that's really impacted us.
Right.
So just that, like, we are not alone.
Yeah.
There are resources, and you get to decide what is best for you and when.
Right. That's so powerful. Well, thank you so much, Julia Folse, for coming on today and providing a voice for our Eagles.
Thank you.
Coming up, we've got Kaylin Fox Thomas reporting on the DEI ban. Check it out.
As DEI bans get passed in Mississippi, unions like the United Campus Workers advocate for change. Gavin Wallace, a current union and staff member here at USM, explains how being in it allows him to speak up for larger issues.
So I joined United Campus Workers as a graduate student. This has really been a great outlet for me to work towards bettering something. Working with UCW on this march and this campaign and like all the other campaigns we're working on right now has really been fulfilling for me in the way that it helps me feel active and not feel frozen. And I actually feel like I'm doing something and making a change and having an impact on the world around me.
Union worker and protest organizer Patricia McCourt explains what the union does and how people can become members.
United Campus Workers is a wall-to-wall labor union. By wall-to-wall, we mean that we represent every job class at the university. So in order to join, you can just go to ucwms.org/join. And we have lots of information on our website.
With union chapters nationwide, United Campus Workers advocates for living wages for all workers, including graduate students and non-tenure track professors. Kaylin Fox Thomas, SMTV.
Thanks for listening to Southern Miss Today on Southern Miss Radio. Huge thanks to Seb Hodges, our audio engineer, and Meadow Smith, our video engineer, for keeping this bird flying. Big shout out to our assistant producer, Sam Romeo, and our program director, Adeline Fields, as well as our executive producer, Ori Ide, and our GM, Dr. Wilbur Martin. Don't forget to follow SM2 Media on social media. I'm your Tuesday Thursday show host, Skylar Angus Barker. Stay golden, Eagles.